Welcome to a new edition of Inside Grand Prix. Today you can find out everything about the Grand Prix in the USA. But first, we welcome you to the land of unlimited possibilities. The United States of America, the embodiment of freedom, prosperity, and a casual attitude. Its sights and metropolises attract thousands of tourists every year. A chance to see for yourself what you'll otherwise see only in Hollywood movies at the cinema. Or a chance of pure relaxation on one of the numerous Atlantic or Pacific beaches. I have a great many friends in Hawaii. I love kite surfing and surfing as well. There's lots of people in Hawaii that I know, so when I can find time, I always love to fly over. For me, it's the best part of the US from a sports perspective as well, because the wind's always blowing there. Besides the beaches, you can enjoy forests and the land stretching out round you. Many and diverse cultures have left their impression on the USA. The country is regarded as an ethnic melting pot. 50 states with a total of 261 million inhabitants. 5.7 million of them live in Indiana and its capital, Indianapolis. And here you'll also find the birthplace of US motor racing. Last season it was Formula One's scandal race. We'll find out more about the background to that in our preview feature shortly. We'll only say this much. Incorrect tires from one manufacturer led to a disaster. A total of just 6 cars fought out the race, to the torment of themselves and the spectators. A tragedy for Formula One and a scandal for the fans.
I can do this in my own driveway. So I mean, it's no fun to be here. A waste of $105 as far as I'm concerned.
It's just stupid for them to do like this. I mean, we paid a lot of money to come to this race, and then we don't get anything out of it.
They stole the money. I paid $105. What's going on, man?
Whether the seats can be filled for the 2006 race remains to be seen. One thing's certain, though, this year, everything has to be perfect.
It's very important, I think, for Formula One and for all the sport to have a normal race again in Indianapolis. I think in America, Formula One has to be as big as the other motorsport races they have there. And I think we have a good opportunity to put a good show in this Grand Prix and to show all the American fans that the Formula One is really, really interesting.
A desire that especially the fans can empathize with. They're hoping for an exciting and complete Formula One race, with a winner that deserves to be added to the Hall of Fame. Next in Safety Focus, round and round, the tires. But first, a virtual lap in Indianapolis. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway is the largest motor racing venue in the world. In 2005, a deafening chorus of whistles rolled down from the 250,000 seats, because Michelin could not guarantee that the tires would last for the entire race. Safety is the first priority, and so only 3 Bridgestone teams started the race. So Formula One has a lot to make up for in 2006. Because Formula One needs to establish itself in the USA in the long term, it's an important market. And it's important that we provide an excellent all-round race this year, as an apology for last year for the fans. And also for the future, so that Bernie Eccleston can negotiate good new contracts. So out onto the traditional track at full speed. Turn 1, a hard right-hander, from well over 300 kilometers an hour down to 90. Hard right, left, and right again. The first section of the circuit demands high wings with its tight and at times slow corners. At the same time, the 4.2 kilometer long track also encourages you to attack. For instance, on the opposite straight, which is over 500 meters long. The teams always have very different downforce values and wing settings there, and so there are also several overtaking maneuvers there. So at the end of the day, we have the chance to put on a great show again and to win back a place in the hearts of the Americans. Racing in the USA, a vibrant and dramatic drive. The track is again tight and windy, good grip, and so a soft tire compound are the order of the day. But gradually the circuit opens up into the famous tire-killing high-speed oval, the longest full-throttle section in Formula One, but it leaves the drivers cold.
it's very, very easy for the car, hard for the tyres. There's a lot of load on the tyres through there, but for the car, I think it's relatively easy. You have to ask maybe the technical guys, but it doesn't feel that demanding. And then you have the long straight, so it's really like a straight. For example, the corner before is the one to get right. I mean, then you carry all your speed onto the straight.
The highlight, the 400-meter-long bank corner, turn 13. In 2005, changing tyres was prohibited, but driving through here with worn susceptible tyres for the affected teams, that was just irresponsible.
You are on full throttle for around 23 seconds. Which means that you reach very high top speeds, normally around 340, 345 kph. It's very hard on rear tyres because the rear tyres take a lot of load in the banking, so you put a lot of temperature into the left rear tyre, so you need to run high pressures to sustain that.
And in 2005, the Michelin tyres simply could not stand up to that pressure. Now tyre changes are permitted again, so the scene is set perfectly for an exciting USA Grand Prix 2006. Next in Legends, Formula One 30 years ago. And now to the only American in the field of drivers. It's the benchmark for every young driver. The indicator of talent. Every race driver's business card. It's the prerequisite to acquiring a cockpit in Formula One. Speed.
I think that I get a lot of comments about my name, and if it helps to promote me and my team in the sport, then it's great.
Scott Speed. What better name for a race driver? The friendly Californian was discovered during Red Bull scouting in the USA. Since this season, he's been driving for the Scuderia Toro Rosso, Red Bull's newly founded fun team. And fun is what he lives for. Speed, more than just his name. No matter what the circuit, never mind what he's driving. What counts is having fun and being fast. Scott craves speed, and at 23 he was fast to make it into the top class.
A lot of Americans go to NASCAR, IRL, and Champ Car, but I think really it's clear to everyone that Formula One is the pinnacle of motorsports and everyone aspires to it. But for an American to come to Europe and to do the proper training in Europe and to be in kind of the Formula One crowd, it's very difficult. So I was very lucky to be involved with Red Bull, and for sure without Red Bull's help, going to Formula One would be nearly impossible.
Austrian by choice, he's constantly touring the entire world and enjoying it to the full, because his way to the top was everything but a pleasure cruise. Colitis ulcerosa, the shattering diagnosis, was made 3 years ago, a chronic disease of the intestine, which slowly but surely weakens vital bodily functions. Speed's career seemed prematurely ended, beaten to it before even starting properly.
I reached my all-time low point in 2004. And this is a very difficult time because when you're so anemic, it's hard to even get up in the morning, much less drive yourself to the racetrack and race. So sometimes it was quite difficult to deal with everything. But I think I'm very fortunate that I met the proper doctors that were able to treat me, and I'm very fortunate to be in a position now where I can give back and help other people with my disease.
Since fellow American Michael Andretti, Speed is the first Formula One driver to come from the motorsport crazy USA. And Speed is also intent on playing his part in finally making Formula One the premium class in the USA as well.
Hey, it's certainly great to see to be able to put America back on the Formula One map. I really hope that it can increase the popularity in America because it's something that I love so much, and for my fellow countrymen to share the love would be great.
Scott Speed, a name to reckon with, already claimed his first championship point in this season's third race in Melbourne. For many, it's only a question of time until he claims his first victory too, because he already has what it takes: speed. Coming up in Safety Focus, the Black Gold. And now the bearable lightness of being carbon. According to the laws of physics, a simple principle applies to an accelerating mass. The lighter, the faster. The race engineers have learned to treasure one particular material in terms of lightweight construction: carbon composites. They've been used in Formula One since 1984. They're decisive factors in their favor compared to metal.
Very low density, lightweight, high stiffness, high strength.
The composite is delivered to the Formula One engineers in resin-soaked rolls, the so-called Prix. Individual shapes are cut out and the parts emerge layer by layer. Such easy processing and material savings are the clear advantages of carbon.
You're not making the final material properties until you've formed the component. So if you were to compare that to a metallic piece, the bar of material that was delivered to your stores is already, in general, developed all of the properties and has all the characteristics that you'll see in the final product. So you just machine from solid, you remove 80% of that bar.
The parts are made of layers of carbon, which are each made of millions of individual carbon fibers. The individual fibers lie densely together in bundles, all facing in the same direction. They consist of nearly 100% carbon. When it's extremely compressed, it forms one of the hardest materials on Earth, diamond. The fibers are woven into mats to create a flexible sheet. They're soaked in resin and laid layer upon layer to form the finished component. To harden the structure, it has to be heated. A temperature of up to 350 degrees C and a pressure of about 8 bars ensures that the resin and the fibers melt together in a vacuum. The comparison with metal shows that the carbon fibers can withstand well over double the load. The metal parts bend, but the carbon parts hold up until they finally shatter completely. The carbon mats are provided in negative form and can be adapted perfectly thanks to their flexibility. They can be processed even more malleably simply by heating them with a hairdryer. Every component has different requirements in terms of its resilience. For example, a wishbone in the chassis requires several of the 0.5mm thick carbon layers to be placed on top of each other. Resin mats also fulfill various stability requirements. Every part is then packed up and a vacuum is created. This prevents any air from penetrating, which would make the structure unstable. In the baking process, the carbon mats and the resin form a stable bond. And after hardening, which takes between 5 and 24 hours, the finished part can only be smoothed with hard abrasives and tools. All that's missing then is the paint on top, and the fastest advertising boards in the world beam in their new lightweight outfits. Time for a short break, but we'll be right back with all the key facts on the United States Grand Prix. In Safety Focus, we'll show you everything you need to know about tires. Don't go away.
Allianz, Insurance and Asset Management. Allianz, Insurance and Asset Management.
Welcome back to Inside Grand Prix. Coming up, news and facts. But first, in Safety Focus, round and round, the tires. Tires. It's all about tires. And they're the key to everything. They're the only connection to the track surface. Engine, brakes, aerodynamics, the entire masterpiece that's a Formula One car is only as good as its transfer to the track. Tires, a science in themselves. Over 80 different rubber types, plus 250 other ingredients, such as steel, polyester or sulfur. Special rubber compounds are produced for every specific race. The battle for the black gold, currently fought by two manufacturers which supply the Formula One teams.
Mal ist die Firma besser,
Sometimes one firm is better, then the other firm's better, and the development goes on, and then on even further. And when you get to the limit, then something simply goes wrong. That's why Formula One has sometimes been regarded too much as just a question of tires in recent years. Maybe that's also why the FIA has decided only to authorize one tire manufacturer as from 2008.
Nur noch ein Reifenhersteller zugelassen ist.
It looks as though Bridgestone will be the sole tire supplier for Formula One. Durability and grip at operating temperatures of up to 130 degrees Celsius are decisive for providing the necessary endurance. Depending on the track and the tarmac, the teams choose either soft or hard rubber compounds. Normally the soft tires produce more grip, so I can take much more speed into the corners, can brake later rolling in with the greater speed and hit the gas earlier, simply because I have better grip. But the softer the tire, the quicker it will wear. Extremely hard labor when accelerating for the rear tires. From 0 to 100 in 40 meters without spinning, driven by 800 horsepower. Braking maneuvers. They put a load of up to 2.5 tons on the front wheels. At a speed of 350, the contact surfaces even bend outwards. The average life of a tire? 25 laps. Wear always means slower lap times. You notice it because when you put a lateral load on the car, it simply has less grip, slides quicker, and has less grip at the back. So you have to drive through the corners more slowly. And you can't accelerate out of the corners or brake on the rear axle so well. The teams go into qualifying and the race with 7 sets of a compound. But every tire change costs time. So, a quick pit stop? Or stay out longer than the competition and catch up ground with old tires and a light car. The games of strategy played with the tires. Watertight arguments in wet weather. The tread on wet weather tires gives as much grip as possible. Every team has its very own requirements for its tire partner, because every car reacts differently. The key is to transfer your own strengths onto the tarmac.
Williams has a strong relationship with Bridgestone where we feed back to them our requirements for the chassis. We test casings and compounds according to what is best for our car from a mechanical and aerodynamic point of view. But we also keep a close eye on the other teams to look at what statistical data we can use on compounds and casings to make sure we don't go in the wrong direction.
A long service life and good grip, an absolute must in terms of safety in road traffic too. So it's necessary to check the tread and air pressure regularly for everyday use. You very often see people driving with too little air pressure. That means the contact surface of the tire does not run evenly on the road. And so the tire has less grip but also wears down unevenly. Here you can clearly see less tread in the area of the tire shoulders than in the middle. Another problem that can cause damage is driving onto curbstones at an acute angle. That can severely distort the tire wall, and in extreme cases it can cause cracks in the tire or even bulges. A tire like that must be replaced immediately because it's a serious safety risk. Guaranteed safety over as long a period as possible. All the different factors come together in the tire because the best performance needs the best grip. And now, back to the past and Formula One 30 years ago. They're the icons of US racing. Team boss and self-made millionaire Roger Penske and Mario Andretti, arguably the best all-rounder in motor racing history. Together, they lent a certain US flavor to the display of the mostly British teams of the 1976 season. With his courage, ambition and determination to come through no matter what, Mario Andretti was the personification of the American dream. The Italian-born debuted in Formula One in 1970, winning his first race only 1 year later. He began the '76 season in the team of his countryman Parnelli Jones, but during the season switched to the Lotus team with its charismatic boss Colin Chapman. For Mario Andretti, Formula One was everything.
Well, yes, and it does mean an awful lot to me, especially this particular period in my career. I just really want to devote 100% of my time to Formula One and see if I can perhaps reach some of the goals that I've set for myself.
The collaboration with Lotus was to last 4 years, eventually culminating in the joint celebration of the World Championship in 1978. In 1976, Andretti was unconvincing before the second half of the season. Constantly recurring technical problems demanded all the patience he could muster. But as of 1977, his Lotus became increasingly competitive. His reward? A victory in the season's final race in Japan. The Penske team fought out its last and most successful Formula One season in 1976. By signing John Watson, the Americans had brought a talented driver onto the team who was hungry for success. The aim was to vex the established teams Ferrari, McLaren, Lotus and Tyrrell, which worked better than they'd hoped for. By the end of the season, they'd secured a place on the podium at both the French and British Grand Prix, as well as winning the race on the Österreichring. Team boss Roger Penske is still involved in US motor racing today and has teams running in both the IndyCar and NASCAR series. Mario Andretti's enjoying his well-earned retirement. To this day, he remains the icon of American Formula One fans. Time for our news and facts. Michelin seems to have shown enough regret for the disappointing Indy Grand Prix. The French team has refunded all admission fees. Further class action lawsuits in which additional overnight stay and travel costs were being demanded back have been thrown out in the first instance. Reason? The sporting risk that one accepts in buying an entrance ticket. Hopefully the stands will fill up anyway, otherwise it may become difficult for Formula One in the USA. Money isn't just splurged recklessly in Formula One, rather also earned. According to internet portal Pit Pass, splashing the cash more than most is Mr. Formula One Bernie Ecclestone. Estimated fortune, €3.2 billion. Second place goes to the man with 2 racing teams, soft drink king Dietrich Mateschitz, $2.9 billion. Also on the podium, not him, rather him, Midland owner and steel tycoon Alex Snyder, estimated around $1.1 billion. In 7th place, we find the first driver, exactly Michael Schumacher. The record world champion boasts a fortune to the tune of $360 million. Figures of a totally different kind now from the Brembo engineers. The brake facts for Indianapolis. The largest stress awaits the drivers immediately on the first corner. From close to 340, the cars must brake down to 130 kilometers an hour. This all occurs in 2.1 seconds. The centrifugal forces acting on the drivers, 4.2 G. That was Inside Grand Prix. We'll be back for the next Grand Prix in France.
This program was brought to you by Allianz, your global partner for comprehensive insurance and asset management solutions.